Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I am laughing because I have tried so hard to film a video for this channel for the last couple days, and I keep on filming it and then rendering it and uploading it to my computer, and then I delete it. I don't know why, but I read some great meditations. I'm sorry that you guys missed them, but I wanted to do one last video over here before January is over. So I brought a bunch of books with me. I've actually, the last couple of videos, I've been reading from this Believing in Myself, Daily Meditations for Healing and Building Self-Esteem. So let's read from that today, since I haven't read it, since I haven't posted the readings that I did from this, this book. And I don't have my reading glasses with me, but we will power through it anyway. So January 31st. All right. Oh, this is small print. God is never late. Joe Siebert. Let's get the show on the road. Here we are, ready to roll with a handful of new insights and all the good intentions in the world. This time we're going to throw off our negative old habits and charge straight ahead toward a better life. We've got a plan now, and we're going to stick to it. Nothing can stop us because we finally learned to reach out for help. With prayer as a new part of our daily routine, we are on our way at last. So when is liftoff? What's the delay? Why are we so disturbingly like our old selves so long after we launched off in another direction? There's no question that we're doing our part. When is all this prayer going to start paying off? Where's God? Perhaps the better question is, how does God work? After persisting long enough with our part, we can usually see that God was powering us all the way. Concepts like slow and late are always relative to expectations. Can we be so sure that ours are the same as God's? Can we even be sure that we were as ready as we thought we were to get the message? Farther down the road, we often discover that God had been pointing and pushing us at some door that we were too blind to see for months or even years. Then, when we finally get the picture, we turn to our patient, sweating God, and say, about time. My higher power is never indifferent, capricious, or on vacation. You know, I try to kind of steer clear of the really specifically spiritual meditations over here, but I really like this meditation, and so I want to talk about it. You know, I think that this idea of a higher power or a God concept, or if you're a religious person, whatever you believe in, and if you're not a religious person and, you know, you believe in nothing or the universe or the winds and the tides or whatever works for you, I think that this meditation can apply to that, you know? The way that I am with my higher power has changed so much through the years. You know, I can remember early on in my sobriety, and I was in a relationship. And I was like, the relationship wasn't going the way that I wanted it to. And I can remember having a conversation with my mom. And I said to her, you know, I've been praying on it and whatever. And she said, well, how are you praying about it? And I said, well, I've been praying for the relationship to work and, you know, whatnot. She goes, how do you know that that's what God wants for you? And I said, well, I don't know. And I said, but I know that's what I want, you know. And she said, you know, like, that's not how God works. To pray for like patience or understanding or compassion or kindness in a situation, like those are things that we pray for, right? But to pray for like lottery wins and stuff like that, I mean, I guess you can. You know, I am a big believer in prayer, but like that has never really helped me in the long run of things, you know? And the other thing is that I've really learned throughout time, and it's, you know, like we talk a lot about this in sobriety, that God works on God's time, not my time, you know? There are a lot of times in my life that I have been sitting there being like, where's God? You know, when my mom passed away, and I actually share this a lot with people when they reach out to me about grief and stuff. When my mom passed away, I was so angry at whatever higher power concept I had at that time, what my God was. I was so angry. I was like, you know, my mom is like the closest person to me in my entire life. She's a close, you know, we weren't like best friends. You know when people say like my mom's my best friend? I wouldn't say that, but like we had gone through such a long period of our lives where, the neighbor dog is barking, but we had gone through such a long period of our lives where I was unable to have a healthy relationship with my mom. Because when I was growing up a lot, because of her active alcoholism, you know, I was the parent and my mother was the child. So, you know, when I got older and then I was able to be the child and my mother was able to be the parent, it completely switched those roles back. And my mom and I were so close that I was able to have just like this amazing relationship with my mom, you know? And so to have built this foundation, of just this amazing relationship that was bound by our commonality of recovery, and then to lose my mom I didn't understand it, and so irrationally, I was really angry at God. I was like, God, I don't understand why you would do this. And what's interesting is, I have had so many friends of mine that are very, very religious, or very, very spiritually based. And during tragedies in their life, they have turned from God, not towards. And it's always interesting to me, I think, having gone through some of those difficult times myself, because friends will say to me, how much is God supposed to put one person through and things like that. And I'm sure that is how you feel when you're hit from 50 different angles, But at the same time, it's aren't we taught as spiritual beings that is the time that we should go towards our spirituality, as in those times? And that's why I really love the saying that, of Oprah learning about all this, that Maya Angelou taught her, that when you're going through a really difficult time in your life, when you're going through a really, horrible, hard things in your life, tough times, to look up and say, thank you, because this too shall pass, and the sunlight of the Spirit shall shine again. And, I really believe that. That has been proven to me. And, it's interesting that things that I wanted to turn out a certain way at a certain time, when I look at them in retrospect sometimes, and they didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to, and when I look at them in retrospect, has this ever happened to you? And you're like, oh, I get it. I understand why I didn't get that opportunity at that time. Or I understand now why this happened the way that it did. Or maybe I wasn't ready yet to receive that lesson. Or maybe I wasn't open-minded enough to go through what I was going through, or to receive this gift that I wanted to receive in my life. But today I am. Because I do think that we have to be open to that, I also think that God works in mysterious ways in my life, really blessings in disguise sometimes. But I use this analogy for so long, and it's a poor analogy, but I'm going to use it on here. If you've ever seen the movie The Craft, one of my favorite movies, I love that movie. But there's a part in there when the main character is explaining kind of her abilities to the other three, and she says, but it doesn't always work out the way that I want it to. I will, it's about witchcraft, and she'll say, I will wish for a rainstorm, and a pipe will break, or bust in the basement. And that has so been true of my life, that it's almost kind of this comical relationship that I have with my higher power, that my higher power puts me in situations that are kind of funny. And then later I look back and I go, okay, now I understand. At that time, it didn't seem funny to me at all, but now I understand, right? I get it. And so it's okay, for example, this is an example that I usually use. I've talked about this on my vlog. Have you ever wished for more money? You wish, oh, I wish I would win the lottery, or I wish I had more money and I need more money and all this kind of stuff, right? And then you get hit with another bill and you're like, okay, wait a second. That was not what I was praying for. I wasn't asking for another bill. I was asking for more money, right? But then in getting that other bill, what it does is it makes you take a look at your spending. And maybe what you realize is, we're going out to dinner a couple times a week, or we're getting fast food, which is expensive, or, maybe we don't need cable, or maybe we don't need this, or maybe we don't need that, right? And so what happens is, you start reducing your spending, and over 6 months, let's say you've saved $5,000, and you're like, wow, I have more money now, and we could take that trip that we wanted to take. But we couldn't have taken that trip if we had been spending money the way that we were spending it 6 months ago. Well, you got more money. It just didn't happen the way that you thought it would, And very much in life, that's how things work for me. And so it isn't on this timing thing of how I think that God should act or behave in a certain manner, and on my time, and it has to be on my schedule. I don't believe that, that the world works that way. And if you're not a spiritual person, I think it's the same thing. It's okay, well, things happen the way that they're going to happen, and if you can't make any meaning out of that because you aren't somebody that applies meaning or anything to that, that's okay too, But what you realize is you're being taught patience through this. You're being taught understanding that things don't happen when we want them to. Things happen the way that they're going to happen. And acceptance, is the answer to all of my problems today. That when I am going through something and I don't want to understand why I'm not getting it right now. Why don't I have a boyfriend today? Why can't I have this house or this apartment? Or why isn't the job of my dreams turning up? Well, there's some acceptance that we need to work on in those situations, and realize that those things happen to us when they're supposed to happen, not when we want them to. The pieces that we're learning through that, we're learning these character traits of patience and acceptance. And that's a great lesson to learn, right? But those are the lessons. It's like sitting down how did you learn 2 plus 2 is 4? Well, you did arithmetic, worksheets and all this kind of stuff, and you got on the board in classroom and you put it down, and, and you'd see 2 apples plus 2 apples equals 4 apples and all that. Well, this is the lesson. These things that we're going through right now, not getting the job of our dreams, not having a boyfriend or girlfriend when we want to, and then 6 months down the road or a year down the road, what we're realizing is, looking back, man, I learned patience through that. I learned acceptance. And the lesson is greater than had I been granted this wish that I had at that time, And I'm not a believer that God is a wish master. I just don't believe that. He's not a genie in a bottle. I think that whatever your concept of God is, it's up to you, But I think my concept of God is that God is not a wish master, like I said. It's not like I rub the genie bottle and God tells me, this is what you get now, 3 wishes, and then I wish for 3 more wishes. I think it's more about the lessons for me. So anyway, let me know what you thought about that meditation. Here we go into February. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.